Microsoft's security chief is explaining why the company is eliminating passwords. It's kind of interesting. I covered this a couple of days ago in Microsoft taking the password expiration off of new Windows 10 updates, but this actually goes a little bit deeper. It was 4 a.m. on a night in June 2017. Brett Arsenault, the top-ranking cybersecurity executive at Microsoft, had fallen asleep on top of his cell phone when it shocked him awake with a buzz. A cyber attack, later dubbed NotPetya, had begun locking down computers and shutting down businesses in Ukraine. It first looked like a routine ransomware attack in which companies would have been able to pay to open up their locked computers. But this one was different. It spread lightning fast, like a worm, rather than ransomware, and companies quickly found there are no criminals to negotiate a ransom with at all, leaving them with inoperable hardware and no data. Arsenault quickly jumped on a phone call with staff in Eastern Europe and US. He demanded his staff shut off access to Ukraine within 10 minutes to stop the malicious software from spreading out of Microsoft's location in that country. The staff said they didn't think they could do it that fast, so he pushed them. It worked. They shut it down. If you do the right thing, they'll say you did your job. If it's the wrong thing, you get fired. It was my team trying not to call chicken little. That's probably the hardest part of the job, to not get overexcited, but not to underreact. You see, Arsenault might have one of the hardest cybersecurity jobs in the world, being accountable to the board of one of the world's largest tech companies, which supplies ubiquitous products and software that serve most other companies across the globe. Microsoft is one of the most attacked companies in the world, also hit $1 billion valuation, or is that trillion? Something like that. But Arsenault said the lessons he's learned from NotPetya and the other 6.5 trillion incidents the company sees each year can be used by businesses with much smaller profiles and even by individuals. Here's the biggest one. Get beyond passwords. See, email-based and password-based hacking underlie everything from the simplest frauds to the most complex, multifaceted hacking campaigns, he said. We all sort of declared years ago that identity would be our new perimeter. People are focused on taking advantage of identity, and it's become a classic. Hackers don't break in, they log in. I see that as a huge, huge thing for us to work on. So, passwords by themselves are useless. And here's something interesting about Microsoft I bet you didn't know. 90% of Microsoft's employees can log on to the corporate network without a password. It's a reflection of the passwordless future Microsoft has touted for years and backed up by products to move consumers away from memorizing strings of confusing terms. Instead, Microsoft employees use a variety of other options, including Windows Hello and the Authenticator app, which provide other alternatives for logging in, like facial recognition and fingerprints, removing passwords entirely. Now, question for you listening or watching. What do you think? Passwords? Should we get rid of them? Should we keep them? Do you think they're important? And I mean, passwords are tagged so much that really kind of the point to go, well, you know what? Screw it. The hackers will have no idea how to brute force attack a password or guess random passwords or do password spraying, trying to figure out how to break or hack or lock in or figure out a way to crack that, when here's something more interesting we have on hand now. Get it? This little device that is on a person vast majority of the time, and with it you have more authentication availability and opportunities than ever thought possible. Seriously, if the person actually has important information on there, like security for work or cards or everything, they're going to make darn well sure they hold on to it. And if it's multi-authentication, just makes it that much more difficult for hackers to break in.